Welcome to watch the software teaching video of the engine test bench. In this video, we will introduce the engine test bench test and the software. Tool window. The tool window includes File, System Settings, Data Analysis, Language Theme, About, Version Number, Relay Control, Ports, in total 8 modules. It can realize data search, system basic parameter settings, data analysis and etc. File. Click the file to open the test data storage folder, metadata. You can view the test raw data, log, point data, point, test report, report, average throttle point data. The database folder in the folder is the program configuration file. The user can delete the configuration file to change the test bench model. System settings. System settings include basic setting, throttle linear settings, relay setting, safeguard, test info, auto test, data setting, factory setting, custom setting. In total, 9 modules. Basic settings. In the basic settings, you can set the direction of thrust, torque direction, open-closed loop modes, number of optical stickers, sampling rate and other parameters. Thrust direction. The forward force generated by the engine and propeller. The back end of the test table points to the engine is the pull force. At this time, set the thrust direction to pull. The thrust display value in the real-time data is positive number. Set the thrust direction is push. The thrust display value is negative number. The backward force generated by the engine and the propeller. The engine points to the back end of the test bench is the push force. When setting the thrust direction is pull, the thrust display value is negative number. Set the thrust direction is push, and the thrust display value is positive number. Torque direction. The left-hand spiral theorem with the pull direction is CW, clockwise rotation. The right-hand theorem is CCW, counterclockwise rotation. Select CW. CW steering propeller torque will display positive number. CCW steering propeller torque will be displayed as negative number. Select CCW shows the opposite polarity. Shaft power calculation enables. Choose to use the pulse speed or optical speed to calculate the shaft power. Open loop or closed loop mode. Open loop mode means that the test bench will not lock the engine due to communication disconnection and can be connected through software. The closed loop mode is the opposite. After the communication with the host computer is disconnected, the test bench will automatically lock to ensure test safety. Generally, the open loop mode is used for long-term testing or poor communication conditions. Among them, the closed loop mode is the normal test mode. The relay mechanical switch in the electric control box should be set to the engine off state. That is, the ECU is powered. The igniter is in the off state, off. At the same time, the default state setting of the relay on the software remains consistent. Open loop or closed loop mode switching. Please turn off the power of the collection box before switching. Then, switch the mechanical position on the control panel of the electrical control box. In the open loop mode, the mechanical switch of the relay in the electric control box is adjusted to the engine ignition state. That is, the power supply of ECU number 1, ignition 1 of number 3 is set to the closed state on. At the same time, the default state setting of the relay on the software remains consistent. Note, in the open loop state, after the test bench is powered on, the engine will be in an ignition state. Testers must pay attention to safety hazards to prevent danger. Open or closed loop cannot be set. Only the switch state on the acquisition chassis is displayed. Number of single loop pulses, the number of pulses emitted in a circle at the pulse speed, similar to the polar logarithm of a brushless motor. It must be set before the test. If the number of pulse per cycle is set wrong, the pulse speed measurement error will occur. Number of stickers refers to the number of reflective stickers posted on the propeller or engine when using the speed of optical measurement. For example, two-blade speed measurement, the general posted reflective sticker is 2. Input 2 in the optical sticker number, such as the three-blade speed. Generally posted reflective sticker is 3 in the optical sticker number input 3. It must be set before the test. If the number of optical stickers is set incorrectly, the optical speed measurement error will occur. Number of stroke, the number of strokes of the engine cycle and used to calculate the effective cylinder pressure. Engine displacement, the total engine cylinder volume used to calculate the effective cylinder pressure. Fuel density, used to calculate the fuel consumption rate and specific fuel consumption parameter. Propeller diameter, here the propeller diameter input value used to calculate the thrust coefficient and the power coefficient. If the user does not need to measurement the related parameters, it is not required to set. Sliding ratio, fuel to oil ratio. Sampling rate refers to the data acquisition frequency of the data acquisition box. The standard version is 10 Hz. The 100 Hz version can compatible with 10, 50 and 100 Hz. And the random noise will increase with the acquisition frequency. It is recommended to use 100 Hz for testing sweep frequency and response, and 10 Hz for other tests. Logging rate refers to the recording rate of raw data, log. The 100 Hz high-frequency acquisition version can support 0.1, 1, 10, 50 and 100 Hz. And the 10 Hz version can select 0.1, 1, and 10 Hz. The throttle linearity setting. In the throttle linear setting, multiple linear correspondence can be realized for the PWM output frequency. Throttle 1 opening and the corresponding PWM, throttle 2 opening and the corresponding PWM. By adjusting the PWM linearity, the linear correspondence between the throttle curve and the valve opening can be realized. Frequency of PWM refers to the update speed of PWM signal. Range of 50 to 500 Hz. General remote control is 72 Hz. Flight control is 400 Hz. Rather standard signal is 333 Hz. Theoretically, the update speed change will not have much impact on the control system. Throttle 1 opening refers to the air door opening. Generally from 0 to 100% throttle corresponds to the air door and the air door fully open. Throttle 1 PWM, the throttle valve controls the actual signal of the steering gear, which can adjust the throttle in a linear relationship with the linearity. Throttle 2 opening refers to the valve opening. Generally from 0 to 100% throttle 2 corresponds to the valve fully open and closed. Corresponding PWM, the shutter controls the actual signal of the steering gear, and the throttle 2 and the shutter are linear by adjusting the linearity. Relay settings. Relay settings include ECU power supply, electric start, ignition 1, ignition 2, oil pump 1, oil pump 2, servo power supply and alarm, in total 8 modules. The default state of the relay should be consistent with the relay switch in the electric control box. Relay lock reset setting. Software lock, ignition prohibited relay switch control state setting. First, third, fourth, fifth in the software relay setting correspond to IO1, IO3, IO7 of the relay switch in the electric control box. Note: the default state of the relay should be consistent with the relay switch in the electric control box. Safeguard. In the safeguard, you can set protection for parameter values such as thrust, torque, optical revolutions per minute, pulse revolutions per minute, fuel consumption, temperature, etc. There are two modes of safeguard. One is alarm. After selecting, when the test value reaches the protection value, the software will execute an alarm. The real-time data display position will turn red and flash, and the device will sound an alarm, but the throttle lock operation will not be executed. The other is throttle protection. After selecting, when the test value reaches the protection value, the alarm will be executed and the throttle lock operation will be executed. When the throttle is lower than 20%, the software will directly lock. When the throttle is higher than 20%, the throttle will slowly drop to 20% and then perform the lock operation. Test info. The test info includes engine model, propeller model, drive model, tester and other information that needs to be noted. Users can choose to fill in according to the test situation, and the output test data will simultaneously record relevant information. Auto test. The auto test includes 7 test modes: increase, cycle, custom, sine, linear, step, and frequency sweeping test. Users can select the test mode according to their needs, save the parameters, and click Auto Test after Allow Fire Up in the control window. The software will automatically record the data. Data setting. There are multiple data channels that can be set in the data settings. You can select the box in front of Real-Time or Log to display the data in the Real-Time data window and storage log. The initial version has preset general data parameters. Unless there are special parameters or customized parameters that need to be tested, users generally do not need to set them separately. Factory settings. The parameters in the factory settings, which is required a password to set it. Users do not need to set them separately. Custom setting. In the Custom Settings interface, a 1-8 corresponds to the ADC 1-8 interfaces of the acquisition card, of which a 1-4 is the system default sensor and cannot be modified by the user. For a 5-8, customers can connect different analog sensors 0 to 20 mA, plus or minus 5V, and enter the corresponding name, unit and decimal place to be displayed, and the data can be displayed in the software interface. Similarly, T1-T8 corresponds to the 8-channel temperature of the temperature acquisition card, and users can customize the name. Data analysis. MedTest software is equipped with professional data analysis software. Analyzer. Users can select test data through the data analysis option and enter the data analysis software. Users can view chart views, data views, throttle point averages, and perform data curve analysis. Throttle point averages and reports can also be output. Language theme. The software can be set in 2 language modes: simplified Chinese and English. There are multiple colors that can be configured, and users can set it according to their own needs. About. There is a brief introduction to the manufacturer and its official website in the About section. Users can click on the website address to view the latest product information. Version. VIR refers to the current software version number. Relay control. The multifunctional relay control station can open the relay control station window, in which the power supply of 7-way of the engine equipment can be controlled. Port connection. The software and temperature sensor connection status can be viewed in the upper right corner of the software. Users can choose to connect to the serial port or disconnect the device. Control window. The control window contains 9 commands. TTCLR, thrust and torque reset. FCCLR, fuel consumption reset. All CLR, 1 key reset. Record, start recording. Point record, point sampling. Point and new, point sampling and new creation. Advanced control. Allow fire up, forbid fire up. And auto test, start automatic test. TTCLR, thrust and torque reset. Click TTCLR to reset the thrust and torque. It is recommended to reset before each test to ensure the accuracy of data testing. FCCLR, fuel consumption reset. Click FCCLR to reset the fuel consumption data. If you need to test the fuel consumption of a single test, you can use this function. 1 key reset. Click all CLR to reset thrust, torque, current, and power consumption data. Record, start recording. Click record to record data. After clicking record, record is displayed as stop. Click again to stop recording data. The recorded data is saved in the document metadata log file. You can open the file in the upper left corner to directly find the storage file location. Manual test needs to click record. Automatic test will record data automatically. No need to click record separately. Point record, point sampling. Click point record. The software will record a piece of data at the current moment. Data collected in 1 second equals data average and save it in the log. Click point record again, and the software will record the data to the log where the previous data was saved again. Point sampling and new creation. Click point and new. The software will record the data at the current moment, the average of the data collected in 1 second, and save it in a new log file. Advanced control. Click Advanced control. The Advanced control window will pop up, and the throttle can be precisely controlled. Allow fire up, forbid fire up. Click Allow fire up. The software is in the state of allowing ignition. The button display switches to forbid fire up. The electric start, ignition 1, and ignition 2 in the relay control window are in the operable state. That is, ignition operation is allowed, and throttle 1 is in the controllable state. Click forbid fire up. The software is in the state of not allowing ignition. The button display switches to allow fire up, and the electric start, ignition 1, and ignition 2 in the relay control window are in the inoperable state. That is, ignition operation is prohibited, and throttle 1 is in the uncontrollable state. When the ignition is allowed and the button displays forbid fire up, long press the spacebar for 1 second to achieve emergency locking and switch to the ignition prohibition state. Auto test, start automatic test. After the throttle is unlocked, you can click auto test to execute the automatic test program. The automatic test includes multiple test modes. You can select the automatic test mode in System Settings Auto Test and set it. Real-time data window. After the throttle is unlocked, drag the throttle, and the real-time data window can realize real-time data changes. The system is initially set to display 12 sets of data, including thrust, torque, speed, output power, etc. Device info. The device information window can display the basic parameter information of the test bench model, thrust range, and torque range. Chart monitor window. In the real-time chart window, after the ignition switch is released, drag the throttle to display the data curves of thrust, torque, speed, etc. in real time. Check the data box below according to the needs to realize the chart display. Up to 4 groups of data are displayed. The real-time chart window has the function of automatic data adjustment. When auto test is turned on, the range of the vertical coordinate can be adjusted in real time according to the changes in real-time data, which is convenient for users to observe the real-time changes of data. When automatic adjustment is turned off, users can select the vertical coordinate of the real-time icon, hold down the control key, and use the mouse to adjust it. Before the power test, turn on the automatic adjustment function, drag the throttle to the maximum throttle position to be tested. Lock the throttle after the data is stable, turn off the automatic adjustment function, and quickly obtain the vertical coordinate adaptation range of the real-time chart. Environmental parameter display window. The environmental parameter display window can display for environmental parameters, ambient temperature, ambient humidity, atmospheric pressure, and air density, and display the running time of the lower computer system at the same time. Relay control station. The multifunctional relay control station includes 7-way engine equipment power supply control, including ECU power supply, electric start, ignition 1, ignition 2, oil pump 1, oil pump 2, and servo power. It also includes 1-way software alarm synchronization function. The test bench uses batteries to power these devices by default. If necessary, users can customize the settings according to their needs, or connect an external DC module to adjust the power supply voltage. You can contact the manufacturer to match different modules. This module also supports manual or programmed switching function, and can also be used with an external switch without using software. The relay control button is a green and red circular button. Green represents the on-closed state, and red represents the off-closed state. Click to switch the switch state. Among them, electric start, ignition 1, and it is inoperable in the ignition prohibited locked state. The electric start button long presses the on state, and after releasing, it is the off-closed state. Data analysis. MedTest software is equipped with professional data analysis software data analyzer. The data tested by MedTest software can be analyzed by data analysis software. After the data test is completed, the user clicks the data analysis in the toolbar to view the data of the most recent test, or finds the data to be viewed through the data search function. Click the data to directly enter the data analysis software. Tool window. Open file. Click Open File to find the file storage location. Open the log file in the file. Select the original test data. Data analyzer software can be used for analysis based on the original data. Average throttle point output. Click Average throttle point output to output the throttle point average data of the current test data and store the Excel file, which can be compared and analyzed with other data curves in the Curve Analysis software interface. Curve Analysis. Click Curve Analysis to draw the power system characteristic curve of the current loaded data. The test data can generate the throttle average at different points to achieve the drawing and analysis of the power characteristic curve. The throttle, revolutions per minute, thrust and various parameter characteristic curves can be analyzed. Output report. There are report output setting options in this part. Users can choose to set the company name, filter settings, delete unstable data within the time set before the throttle point, and obtain a more stable data average under the throttle, and characteristic curve settings according to their needs. After the settings are completed, users can output reports, and the output reports are stored in file or metadata or report. Header window. By checking the box in front of the header, you can display or hide the header. By checking the box below, users can view the data curve. At the bottom right of the chart, users can select Chart View, Data View and Throttle Average Data. The software teaching video of WFEN 17 MAX engine test bench is completed. Thank you for watching.